Hi, are you always worried that your partner will leave you? In this video, I will talk about an anxious attachment style. I will share the biggest fear a person with this attachment style has, which might surprise you. Lastly, I'll give you a few practical tools to become more secure. How does that sound? Short disclaimer. A person with anxiety might not have this attachment style. They can be avoidant, which I will cover in the next video. But the intention of this video isn't to label you or your partner, but to provide you with some information that might help you understand yourself or your loved one better, and therefore have a more fulfilling relationship. How does anxious attachment show up in relationships? A person with anxious attachment needs closeness, especially if another person pulls away. The anxious person leans in. They need reassurance that all is well and might therefore be perceived as controlling, clingy, or needy. And they are not to blame. And I'll explain shortly why. And if this is you, it often feels like a roller coaster of emotions, doesn't it? But why do we develop this attachment style in the first place? When you were a child, you needed care, love, and support. And I'm talking about emotional and physical. When those needs weren't met consistently, meaning sometimes they were, other times they weren't, for whatever reason, as a child, to adapt, you became highly attuned to the other person or the environment so that you could survive and have your needs met. From this point of view, you see, this was a smart strategy to keep you alive, right? The problem is that you're still acting out this strategy from this old wounded place, which is now outdated, as you no longer need or no longer physically need another person to survive, right? So that's something that you need to reprogram your nervous system for. In relationships, you might be outward focused, always checking for any signs of threat that the other person might leave you when they become distant. And that can be super exhausting, especially because your partner can't be there for you 24/7. It's just impossible. And as a person with an anxious attachment, you probably have a fear of abandonment. So closeness gives you comfort and soothes you. So when your person is away or distant, you might be thinking about them, what they want, what they need. And for instance, you might find yourself constantly checking your phone, waiting for a message to reassure you. And your mental engagement creates a false sense of control, and it's only an illusion. And I will repeat that. Because you think about it so much, it gives you this false sense of control. And it's not real. It doesn't really help. You need to pull energy back to you. And I want to share something really important for you. And maybe just pause after I share this because I find it's a really big statement. The biggest fear of someone with anxious attachment is actually, that can come as a surprise, but it's actually fear of being close. And let it sink that for a moment. Because think about it. Why would you even want to chase someone who is emotionally unavailable? Perhaps you are this way. And I'm not saying this to mock you, not at all, but just to shed light on your blind spots. Because, first of all, we all have them. And second of all, this is how you can free yourself. What you see, you can control, but what you don't see, you can't, right? Because you are accountable for your feelings. Align with yourself and balance your energy. So let's take a look at some practical tips how to do that. First, when you feel triggered by the other person, stop and regulate your nervous system. You need to focus on yourself. One method is deep belly breath or using some grounding exercises, maybe just checking in with your body. What I also sometimes do is I imagine that I pull all the bits and pieces of the energy that I left anywhere else today, anywhere else outside of me. So I just imagine that I'm pulling them back in like a magnet. And it's such an amazing and powerful exercise. Try it out. I especially advise you to do it before nighttime, before you go to sleep. Next thing, communicate your needs and know that for a person who's willing to invest time and effort in you, who loves you, you can't be too needy. But that being said, you also need to be willing to compromise and work on yourself, you know? And something really important, before you communicate your needs or anything that's on your mind, ensure that you are in a calm, grounded space. Because otherwise, you will just react, and the other person might not be as perceptive as you would like them to be. Awareness is the key here. And something important, if you get triggered with every partner, then you need to work on this because you are the common denominator. However, if there is a specific person that is triggering you more than anyone else has ever done it in the past, this might be a sign to have one, a conversation with them about your needs or how, your desires. Or if that's not working, maybe they are just not good fit for your nervous system now because you might be too activated around them. They're triggering you too much. But always, always, always express your needs and feelings first. Don't just ditch a person because you're anxious or you have triggers. You won't solve anything with that. For a person who has an anxious attachment, it's actually healing if they get paired with someone secure. But at times, what happens, and that is what happens often, is that they are attracted to someone with an avoidant attachment because of this push and pull energy. And that goes back to the biggest fear that I mentioned, feeling of closeness. Because for feeling close, you also need to be close to yourself. So, how close you feel to yourself. And to sum it up, take care of your nervous system, self soothe, make yourself feel calm and safe. Feel the fear. Don't run away from your emotions. Have conversations about your needs with your loved one. And that is when you feel grounded and stable, okay? And even seek therapy if needed, especially if you have a lot of intrusive thoughts. I highly recommend it. And if you need help, I'm here, and my link is in the description box down below. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and see you next time. Bye bye.